What's up guys, Twice here with, for me at least, a very much anticipated deck profile. This is going to be for my Dragonic Overlord, the Great deck. And I have to say, the name is very fitting, because this deck is really great. One key thing I've noticed in the time that I've been playing this deck is that it has a lot of versatility and a lot of variability. There's a lot of different ways to build this deck. You can use stands even. I've seen one guy do that and it worked out pretty well for him. You can switch up the starters, switch up the grade 1s. Grade 2s and grade 3s, not so much, but still there's a lot of different ways to build this deck, and as I liked with my Blau deck, and that's kind of why I enjoyed playing that, is that there's so many different play styles that it appeals to, and in my case, it appeals to my play style very well. It has a good aggressive nature to it, and it's just really fun to play. Anyway, so I'm going to get right into it. Red Pulse Draco Kid. I've seen people run Petal Flare, and Petal Flare is a good card. I'm not going to take that away from them. Frankly, I just like Red Pulse because I run Dragonite in this deck, and I kind of need to make sure that I'm getting the Persona cards that I need to get off Dragonite's skill. Or, if I'm going to misgrade, he is just kind of a fail-safe to that. But still, Petal Flare is also another good option. Anyway, for triggers, 8 crit, both Perdition, which I really like. They both look pretty cool. 2 Arc Peak, just for charging columns, just to get them a little bit more boosted, especially on the turn where you Legion with the Great. Just getting him to, be able to destroy rear yards and get off that restand with that extra power from these things is very good. 2 Gatling Claw, killing pesky starters. He will always be a very useful, very high demand card because of how universally good he is. And then 4 heals because obligatory, Alright, and it's a pretty good trigger lineup. I haven't really had the desire to change it much, but again, I've seen people run different ones, and I guess it just depends on the deck itself, but this one works really well for this deck. Alright, for grade 1s, pretty simple. 2 Calamity Tower, extra draw power. Don't really use the soul for much, though I'll say that I do actually preserve most of the soul for this guy right here. I run 4 Perdition Battle and Mariko. Ability is Soul Blast 1 during your main phase when your opponent's rear guard in the same column as him is put into the drop zone. If you have a Perdition Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, you unflip a damage. So I really like this guy in that he is a nice 7k base, and just as long as the rear guard is put in the drop zone, doesn't matter if it's by an effect or if it's by battle, then just Soul Blast 1, which is a really cheap cost to unflip a damage. So a cheap cost to get off a very useful skill, and again, that 7k base is always very preferable. Plus, he's got a Lasso of Fire. Like, how cool is that? Anyway, for Gojo, who I find to be useful in pretty much every Legion Kagero deck, he just fills up the drop zone fast. Again, another 7k base card that's overall very useful. And, a good grade 1 ride if you really need to start filtering your hand very fast. And, of course, if you're going first. Then for Sentinels, 1 Quintet Wall, because, why not? And then 3 Perfect Guards, because they are, again, usually more useful. But it's worked out pretty well. I like this grade 1 lineup. It's got good utility, I think is the best way of putting it. Not too much power, but a big emphasis on utility that definitely works out for the deck. Then for grade 2s, which is a little bit more power-based, we have 3 Perdition Dragonite Terroryev. I really like this card because he actually can build up some pretty good power very consistently. Abilities that when your opponent's rear guard in the same column as him is put into the drop zone, again, by either effect or battle. If your Vanguard is in Legion, rather, then he gets plus 5,000 power. And that can be like every turn. He gets plus 5k for pretty much no cost. He's a nice complement to the Great, and him in the same column as Mariko is really nice, because then you Soul Blast 1, and you get plus 5k in the column just for eliminating 1 rear guard in that column, which is very easy to do with this deck. Anyway, so again, just a really good card. You could run a couple different things with, alongside these two, but frankly, I just like this guy for his power. Then, of course, for Neoflame, pretty useful ability. When he's placed, he gets the ability to counter loss 1. When your opponent's rear guard in the same column as him is put into the drop zone, pay the cost. You do retire a unit in the same column as him, so basically like the back row unit. Just a pretty useful card. He combos actually well with Dragonite as well, which is kind of why I like him. And then for Whirlwind, because 12k attackers, Legion mate, yeah, you guys know the drill. Anyway, for grade 3s, nothing really special here, but really powerful. For Dragonite, Dragonite's amazing. He really is just amazing. You could run this deck very efficiently with either one of these two on the Vanguard. Dragonite I like because his ability, Counter Loss 2, drop one card with the same name as the unit on your Vanguard circle from your hand. If he's in Legion, choose up to 2 of your opponent's grade 2 or less units, retire them. Then, if the number of cards your opponent has in their damage zone is 4 or less, you damage your opponent's Vanguard, and they don't get any benefits from that damage. So not only is your opponent down 2 rear guards, you give them -2, you also give them another damage that they get no benefits from, and because of his secondary skill of during your main phase, when your opponent's rear guard is put into the drop zone, he gets plus 3k, you can build up some really amazing power in the center line alone. So in combo with a Break Ride, he is really good. And I even said that in the actual Dragonute deck that I have on my channel. So yeah, Dragonute by himself is a very effective Vanguard for this deck, though it is more geared for the Great. Perdition Imperial Dragonic Overlord the Great is one of my favorite cards. Definitely my favorite that came out in the movie booster. So Legion 20k with Neo Flame. Counterblast 1, choose 2 cards from your hand and discard them. At the end of the battle that he attacked a rear guard. Attacked, it doesn't have to hit. If this unit is in Legion, may pay the cost. You do stand all of your Vanguard, which means that he gets all of the benefits from any triggers that you may have given to him, which is again why I personally run crits, because building up that pressure in the center line is very, very strong. Then his secondary skill is something that I actually like. Choose one of your rear guards with the same name as unit on your Vanguard circle and retire it. When his attack hits anything, rear guard or Vanguard. Pay the cost. You do choose one of your opponent's rear guards, any one of them, and retire it. I like to use this for like Vanguard boosters, Legion boosters, things like that. Key boosters and columns that I just haven't been able to touch. In the end, it's just a good pressure skill. So yeah, Dragonic Overlord the Great, really strong. Him and Dragonute are just very good in what they do. The fact that you have the option of having a restanding Vanguard is very nice, but you also have something that can get just such massive power in the center line. So I really like using this deck because it has 2 great options for boss cards who, by themselves, regardless of which one is on Vanguard, can be really good for the deck. So it's very strong, very consistently strong is what I like. Great consistency and power in this deck. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed just as much as I have. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more Team Zenith. Thank you for all the support you've given to our channel thus far. Remember to always have a great day, keep card fighting. We will see you next time. Goodbye.